welcome to this segment of Lawrence Live. I'm Dr. Sean Smith, Superintendent of Schools, and ladies and gentlemen, I have a very special guest today. I have with us, ladies and gentlemen, the Indiana State Counselor of the Year, Ms. Connie Severson from Lawrence North High School. Connie, welcome to Lawrence Live. Thank you for coming today. I didn't mention her special guest, but I'm going to let Ms. Severson introduce her special guest that she has with her.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Smith. Thank you very much. And this is Nugget. Nugget is our Lawrence North facility dog. She has been with us since the end of January, and I am technically her assistant.
Okay.
So we're actually coming for Nugget, and I'll help her out.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's not often that we have the top counselor in the state of Indiana with us, and we're so proud of Ms. Severson, as she was recently named the top counselor in the state of Indiana. So Lawrence Township, we are proud to have her on our show. But Ms. Severson, you have been in our district. Let's talk about you. How long have you been in Lawrence Township Schools?
I became a counselor at Craig Middle School in 1996. And moved to Lawrence North in 2010 and have been working with students for, this is now my 26th year in Lawrence Township.
Right. Now, little Birdie told me before that you had a little other experience that you had too. So I'm not trying to talk about her age, but she has been doing this for a long time,
yes.
Correct?
And I was a classroom teacher. I taught math and was a math department chair from 1990 to 1996.
Look at that. She has been at this over 30 years, ladies and gentlemen, and you have done a phenomenal job. Let's talk about guidance counselor, Ms. Severson, because it's really changed over the years. As a high school guidance counselor, what is the responsibility, what is the role of the counselor?
School counseling, I think, has morphed from people who just put classes into schedules into something that really becomes sort of a conduit between a student and lots of opportunities in the school and in the community. So school counselors really become almost like a clearinghouse for families, for students. If you need academic help, boom, we're probably your people. If you need mental health support, issues with maybe food scarcity or rent assistance, or I want to talk about college planning. Anything, we kind of do it all. We're kind of a 360-degree office, and if we don't have direct access to something, we will connect people with resources in the community just to make sure they have exactly what they need. And our ultimate goal is to make sure when those students leave us, they're ready to launch any direction. Whatever is best for them, wherever they need to be, we've got them best prepared to pursue that.
Absolutely. Well, Ms. Severson, we have enjoyed incredible success with our graduation rate. And I'm going to let our secret sauce out because you guys are the secret sauce behind the scenes, helping and working with youngsters to achieve a high school graduation. Matter of fact, little Birdie told me that, at Lawrence North High School, you guys have about a 94% graduation rate. Almost every single kid graduates. What do you guys do? What are you doing?
It sounds so simple, but it's so incredibly powerful. Rapport, relationships, that if we can connect with every student in our building and we can build that relationship, we find out what the barriers might be, we find out what hurdles are in place, and it allows us to be creative and find ways to make sure every student has consistent access to school. And whatever your plans are, let us help you get there. So it really is, it has to be relationships. You have to know your students, you have to know what the community has to offer. Without question, it comes down to knowing each other and trusting that you can get people across the finish line.
Absolutely. Well, Ms. Severson's one of a group of counselors that we have at our high schools and middle schools. We're very honored to have this type of talent in our district. But Ms. Severson, as we begin to grow the profession, because you were a classroom teacher, and what would you say to someone out there who's thinking about guidance counseling? What advice would you give them?
If you love students, if you love to be part of that process of discovery and potential, and you are able to kind of change directions on a dime, and you are, I think, number one, interested in relationships, have a compassionate heart, have an interest in futures, it's wide open to you.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have the top counselor in the state of Indiana on our show today. I am so honored to sit with Ms. Severson and her friend Nugget, who stepped away from us right now. She'll be back. But as you can see, our students are in great hands at Lawrence North High School, being led by this wonderful lady and her commitment to students, and it's just an example of the excellence that we have in Lawrence Township. So I want to thank you, Ms. Severson, for coming on this segment of Lawrence Live. I got another top person for the state of Indiana up next, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Hello and welcome back to this segment of Lawrence Live. I'm Dr. Sean Smith, Superintendent of Schools, and I am so honored again. I'm back with another top in the state of Indiana. The Indiana High School Journalist of the Year is with me, and I've known this young lady her entire high school career, but I'm going to let her introduce herself. Lawrence North Wildcat, introduce yourself.
My name's Natalie Rowland, and I'm the editor-in-chief of our North Star newspaper at Lawrence North. It's actually my second year being the editor-in-chief.
Yep.
So.
Second year being the editor-in-chief, and it has been amazing watching this young lady grow up at Lawrence North High School, but she's the top journalist in the state of Indiana, and we're certainly proud of you, little lady. But let's talk about high school journalism. So what do you guys do? You said your own newspaper? You guys have your own newspaper?
Yes.
Tell the public what we have out there.
So our high school newspaper, we serve to tell people what's going on in our high school. So we do everything from sports, news. Right now we're working on just updating on the construction. Obviously that's a big deal going on at our school. But we also cover things in our community. So I actually just wrote a piece on March Madness going on. So it serves to just inform our high school and everybody in our community kind of what's going on around us.
And you do a really good job of it. So, do you interview people like the superintendent and your principal?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah, I've interviewed you several times. I talk to Krauser probably several times a week, just talk to him all the time. So I've gotten actually pretty close interviewing you guys and everything.
Absolutely, and I'm really proud of this young lady because the newspaper, I like reading it. And it inspires me that you young people report your own news. What's your ultimate goal when you're doing journalism? What do you want to do for the students?
As a student, I obviously have a lot of questions. I mean, there's events that go on and you don't always know everything that's going on, or especially with COVID, we don't know all the situations going on. So I have questions, and I'm sure some of my peers have questions. So I just want to be able to answer their questions and let them know what's going on in our community, just to keep them as informed as we can be.
So talk about your class, because obviously you have taken a course in journalism. So talk about your teacher and your class. What are you guys doing?
So our class meets twice a week right now on red days, and right now it's kind of interesting because actually half our class is all virtual students, so navigating the Zoom and everything has been interesting, but we teach people how to do proper interviews, how to write stories, but honestly once people just start doing it, they just develop from there. It just is experience and helps them grow as journalists themselves, and our class has gotten really good at being journalist and writing good pieces, taking lots of good pictures, so it's really cool to see that growth.
All right, so to be named the top journalism student in the state of Indiana, tell us about that. What did you have to do to compete at that level?
So I was actually nominated by my advisor, Ms. Kloffenstein, and she wrote me a letter of recommendation, and Mr. Krauser wrote me a letter of recommendation. But the hardest part was I had to put together a whole website portfolio of all the writing I've done, photography, design I've done over my 3 years on newspaper staff, as well as I was on yearbook staff for a year. So it just was compiling all that, and I think the most difficult part was just narrowing it down to only keeping a few pieces, like my favorite pieces, to publish and show them.
Okay, give me one of your favorite pieces since you're on my show. What's one of the favorite pieces you've done?
Actually, the piece that I thought I put on there that was my favorite was the one I actually wrote as an intro to journalism student. I did a story on two students, brother and sister at our school, who were adopted from Russia, and it was really cool just to hear their perspective and everything, and it got published in the yearbook, even though I read it as a freshman, so that's always, since it was my first story, been my favorite.
Outstanding. It is amazing watching these young people grow up. So humble, but such talent that we have in our district. Natalie, just to close out, you got some big plans because you're a senior.
Yes.
You're leaving us.
Yeah.
Announce the plans, because I see on your master, I see Butler Bulldogs.
Yeah.
All right, share with the public. What are you going to be doing next year?
So I'm going to Butler. I'm actually not majoring in journalism. I'm majoring in health science and hope to become a physician assistant. But I'm still going to take part in journalism because I love it, and so I'm going to be part of the collegiate staff at Butler and still be a part of their newspaper. So.
See, all the Butler Bulldogs are out there cheering about this young lady coming over, and the Indiana Journalism Student of the Year right here in Lawrence North High School in Lawrence Township. So, Natalie, congratulations. Best
you.
wishes at Butler University. I can't wait to shake your hand at graduation and get you out of here, but you are certainly a fine example of the excellence that we have in our district. And I want to thank all of you for this segment of Lawrence Live, but stay with me. I've got one more individual I'd like for you to meet in just a second. Hello and welcome back to this segment of Lawrence Live. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm joined today with a very, very special guest. Nothing moves in this district without this man that's sitting next to me. I'm introducing to you, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Matt Miles, our Director of Transportation. Mr. Miles, welcome to Lawrence Live. Glad to have you here. Mr. Miles has the responsibility of all of our transportation, over 200 buses, and he's got about 200 plus staff members. And I would consider this the main artery of our district. Nothing moves in our district without transportation first. And so this important division is led by our senior leader here. But Mr. Miles, let's talk a little bit about transportation. First of all, you got 16,000 students to move. I want to, how do we do that? How do you organize all of that, sir?
It's a complex process to get that organized. And thanks for having me today, Dr. Smith. It's really a privilege to be able to have that responsibility. It's something that my department and I take very seriously. It does take a lot of organization, especially this year in a pandemic, when we've got students continually moving back and forth from virtual to in-person. And certainly we appreciate the fact that our parents and our students put their trust in us to get them to and from school safely. It's a job that we take very seriously, and it's something that takes a lot of work. But we're proud to get it done.
Absolutely. So all of our students are routed on a bus. Yes. Even if they don't ride the bus, we still know where they are, and if we need to pick them up, we obviously can do that. But Mr. Miles, how do you make that happen with all the different? Do you use computer software? You got people, so how do you route all these kids?
Absolutely, great question. It's a great question. It's a process that starts with registration when a student first gets enrolled in the district, whether they're as an incoming kindergartner or a student moving in. They go into our Skyward system, and from there, our Skyward system talks to a computer system that we have on the transportation side. It's called Versatrans, and Versatrans is a complex software database that integrates student information as well as a mapping program and kind of brings those things together. Then we systematically and strategically place a student on the best route to make them as efficient as possible, to minimize the amount of time that they have to ride the bus, and also to maximize our resources, because we do have limited resources that we want to make sure we're using as efficiently as possible. And then once we've got them assigned to a bus, we make sure that everyone has to know what's going on, from the driver to the student to the parent to the school, to make sure we're all working together for the safety of that student.
Well, Mr. Miles, you use all that sophistication behind the scenes, but when it comes down to it, you've got great people. So let's talk about the bus drivers, okay?
Excellent.
Because these are the people who are riding the bus, trained by you. Let's talk about the training of a bus driver, because some people say, I can't drive a bus. But how do you get people to do that? Because you do a lot of training of that.
We sure do. I would say probably 80% of our drivers we've trained in-house, and we're very proud of that. We have what we feel is one of the best training programs in the state of Indiana. Very, very proud of the job that our trainers do. It's a process that takes 4 to 6 weeks. Certainly from the time we've interviewed an applicant and they've come on board with us, certainly we're making sure we have a good qualified candidate. And it can be intimidating. If you've never driven a vehicle that large, people are a little intimidated by that. But our training staff does an excellent job. Over the past 3 years, of all the applicants and the trainees that we've had go through our program, 98% have passed their CDL test the very first time. We're very proud of that. Those ones that didn't, they were able to come back and pass it the second time. So once they've passed the test, we have about another 2 weeks that we do with them, make sure they know where all of our schools are, how our internal systems work, but then they're fully licensed and ready to go.
Outstanding. Now, Mr. Miles is always looking for bus drivers. Is that
Always
correct?
looking for
so
bus
if
drivers.
you are interested in being a bus driver, what can they do, the public out there do, Mr. Miles?
Absolutely. Greatest place to go for that, first place, is ltschools.org. You can click on the transportation page underneath services. There's a link there that will take you to an application. fill that out. We'll follow right up with you, and we'll get you in the pipeline.
Right, great place to work. Mr. Miles, I also took a tour, and someone told me you're building a new transportation facility. Is that correct?
The rumor is true.
The rumor
Yes,
is true.
the
That's
rumor
right.
is true.
Talk to the public about our new transportation facility that's being built as we speak.
Couldn't be more excited for this, Dr. Smith. I want to thank the school board and the entire district for making this happen. We're very, very excited. As you mentioned, we have over 200 employees. In our current facility, we've just outgrown it. And technology has moved forward as well. So with that said, we are building a new facility over off of 52nd Street near German Church. And just very thrilled. It's going to give us a great training facility, as we talked about. We want to make sure we're able to train our staff coming in and then ongoing training. We've got a much larger bus lot so that we can keep our buses safe under awnings, so that'll provide a safer environment for the drivers getting out to and from their buses. We're going to have space inside where we can have our full staff in there for meetings, which right now we're not able to do. So going to give us a great deal more capability to provide a better service for our community.
Love it, Mr. Miles. Mr. Miles is our Director of Transportation, ladies and gentlemen, leading our main artery, our transportation facility. And so we're really excited about his new facility and his leadership to make sure that our children are safe and well taken care of every day. Ladies and gentlemen, transportation extraordinaire. And yes, this is the guy that makes sure we get through that tough weather. He takes care of us and making sure that we have all of our roads clear and our buses are safe to pick up our students. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening in on this segment of Lawrence Live, and I will see you next time. Thank you.